Today the message is about oneness, that unity that we feel with other people on this planet when we look through the eyes of love. One of our founding principles is this: we believe in the incarnation of spirit in everyone, and that all people are incarnations of the one spirit. And our founding father, Ernest Holmes, said this: the one infinite reality, the thing itself, God, spirit, universal life, is the life from which all creation springs. So our topic for today is about that one spirit. It's 1 + 1 = 1. And the question this week is this: what's the one choice that you can make today to live and embrace the one life from which all creation springs? So let me repeat that. What's the one choice you can make today to live and embrace the one life from which all creation springs? So I said that our title today was 1 + 1 = 1. Now, I graduated with a math and engineering degree in 1969, and I received my master's degree in math in the early 70s. So there's an incongruent with the talk title of 1 + 1 = 1, because we all get taught early in life that 1 + 1 = 2. I have to admit I've played with those numbers before, because when my first child was born, I sent out invitations that said 1 + 1 = 3 to encourage people to realize that we had had a baby. So I guess because I've always played with that, I get into the reality of the actuality of mathematics, which is 1 + 1 = 2. But in the spirit realm, 1 + 1 really does equal 1, because we're all connected in spirit. There's one life, and that's the life of the divine, and it's our life right now. It's the life of everyone on this planet. And what we need to know is that we're all connected. There's really only one life. Here's a bit more spiritual mathematics. God is the center, whose circle is everywhere and circumference nowhere. Now, we have a phrase that we say very often in this community. It's really a summation of that spiritual mathematics, and here's what it is: there is no spot where God is not. The real truth is everything is God. God is all there is. Like our song said, all that I am is God. And in this philosophy, we take that idea very seriously, that we are made in the image and likeness of the divine. Jesus stated, when you see me, you see the Father. And when we look at each other, it's good for us to see that they are actually the divine made manifest. Jesus also said in the Bible, "Know ye not that you are the temple of the living God?" Now, in the Bible, a temple is this place of devotion. It's a place where people go for their spiritual practices, and it's a place regarded as the dwelling site of God. But Jesus said, you are the temple of the living God. So what did living mean in the Bible? A living God is an absolute, independent, and self-sufficient life. All acts of God are free acts. They all come out of pure love. So what Jesus was really saying in our present day language was, within us is this dwelling place that's independent and self-sufficient, and all that comes from it is pure love. Wow. When you think about that, does it feel scary or does it feel empowering? For me, it was a little of both when I first started thinking about that, because if we could really embrace life, that life that came from pure love, imagine what life would be like. Imagine how we would live on the planet. Imagine how we would communicate with other people. What would it be for you if you came from a place of pure love? How would that love be the circle of life? how would it be a place where there was no circumference and the center was everywhere? In the science of mind, we're reminded that the power within you is the same that holds the planets in place. So what if that power of love were as powerful as the power that holds the planets in place? Well, guess what? It really is. There's a power of pure love that lives within us, that divine part of us that we can connect to, and from which we can see everyone on the planet as united. Everyone on the planet is really living from that one life. In our spiritual life, it's important for us to know that there is a pure love essence and a power from which we cannot be separated. Now, we can walk away from it, but we can't be separated because it lives in us. We just have to tap into it. J.K. Rowling said, "It's our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." So when I think about being the temple of the living God, and I wonder sometimes why within my own life I seem to find places where I fall short of finding that sense of being self-sufficient, that sense of being filled with pure love. So I was giving that some thought, and what I realized is I have expectations in my life of how things should be. I should play a certain way. I should have certain skills that I maybe am just trying to develop. People I love should treat me certain ways. I should do certain things better. Sunday services should be cleaner. There should never be a glitch in them. You might get the picture. I should on myself a lot. And what happens is shoulding brings about disappointments because we have expectations, and our shoulds are our expectations of things that aren't getting met. So as soon as we set expectations, and especially if we set ones out of our control, people I love should treat me a certain way. I have no control over that. I have control over how I react to how they treat me. But as soon as we do that, we set ourselves up for disappointment and for pain. So I'm going to pause for a minute and have you think of some time in the last week or the last month where you suffered in some way. It can be a big suffering or a little suffering. You have one yet? So here's what I'd like to ask you. What did you expect to have happen versus what actually happened? There you go. You got my point. It's our expectations that bring about our pain. And I'm not saying that we don't let go of dreams, because our dreams are important. What it is important to remember is that we let go of how things are going to happen. So we can have a dream, but if we plan it down to the last detail and one of those details doesn't happen, we can get disappointed. So what if we knew in the life that mattered, that one life that's beyond our humanness, that everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to be, it was all in divine order, and everything was accepted as perfect and complete, just the way it occurred? Do you think that your thoughts might be different? In the song, there's this line that said, "Our thoughts and our mind belong to eternal time." The problem is we're humans and we use them in this human time. And so our thoughts sometimes go to those things that are expectations that aren't getting met. So Holmes said this to us: "A greater knowledge, experience, and expression of God is always our goal, which may or may not ever be attained." So there's one last concept that I want to talk about with respect to oneness, and it's that oneness doesn't mean sameness. Unity doesn't mean sameness. And there's two analogies that I'm going to use to try to get this point across. One of them is an ocean. If you take a drop of water out of the ocean and you put it on a microscope, the drops have all of the contents of the ocean. I and the Father are one. However, there is no ocean without all those drops of water. The other concept has to do with something that Ernest Holmes said. Our being is merely a point where the infinite being, like a wave of the ocean, comes into self-expression and self-experience, no doubt backed by a cosmic urge or necessity. Each of us is unique, precious, and necessary for the whole of life to be expressed. And diversity is the norm. Here's another analogy that might help you, because I'm sure that you've all seen movies and TV shows that use holograms. If you cut a hologram into pieces, did you know that the whole image is in each piece of that hologram? No matter how small the piece, you can see the full image just from a unique perspective. So if you think of a hologram as looking at something through a window, and then you take black paint and you paint all your windows except one pane, and then you look outside from that same window, you can still see everything that's outside. You may have to tilt a little bit, you may have to stoop down depending upon the pane that you had, that you left open. But the point is, you still get to see everything, you just see it from a different perspective. So if you chose a different pane to keep unpainted, again, you would see, if you first looked at it, you would see a different perspective, but then you could tilt again and maybe stand on your tippy toes. Whatever it might take, you could still see everything that's outside that window. And so this same effect of the broken pieces of the hologram is that concept of oneness. We are all united, but we each bring our own perspective to life. We each have a way that we look at life from our own perspective. And as people looking at other people, what I would invite you to think about is that you're looking at them through the eyes of your soul, which is our own eyes. And there is a sameness in our unity, but still everybody has their own unique self. Everybody has how they show up on this planet as a person. In our unity, there is only one life. That life is God. And that life is each of our lives right here and right now. Not tomorrow, not when we get better at spiritual practices, not when we get better at not judging people, not when we get better at whatever it is you want to get better at. That life is our life right here, right now. That life is loving, it's intelligent, and it manifests itself through each of us, the way that we dig into that life within us and allow it to show up. So the Science of Mind magazine had a great quote. This is way back in 1970 something. Every man is an individual portion of creative life. Every man is an individual portion of created life. The life we express on this plane is but a projection of the invisible. So we're all one, yet we're individuals. We see life through the windows of our eyes, through our own pain, not the same way that someone else would see it. And so we become this unique individual. But can you imagine what life would be like if we each risked loving each other with that pure love that we started out talking about, that made us self-sufficient, that was right there within us, that living God. We are just the way we are, but remember, we're each temples of the living God. So I'm going to invite you to challenge yourself this week. Challenge yourself to enter into the power of that pure love, that power that's as big as the things that hold the stars and the sun in the universe. And remember, the sun doesn't judge people. It doesn't say, oh, I can shine on this person, but I'm going to not shine on this person. If we're together, the sun's shining on both of us, no matter what our personalities or no matter what we've just done in the last day or two. And I'm going to invite you also to bring about new possibilities for yourself and for every individual that you come into contact with. Try to see them through that eye of love. To show up as a vessel of divine love and to really embrace that pure love that's right within us. So let's pray. We just take a breath and imagine the pure love that God is. And know that we are temples of that living God, of that pure love. So what I know to be the truth is that during this week, there's something from this message that's going to pop into your mind. And when it does, you're going to remember that you are a temple of the living God. That you are created uniquely as you to be part of that ocean of love. Your individual drop that makes up that huge ocean. So I'm so grateful. I'm grateful that we had this time today together. I'm grateful that we know in this philosophy that there is only one life, and that life is God. And that life is each of our lives right here and right now. And it's from that gratitude that I just release this into the law of mind, spirit, and action. Because the love that we are spreading, the divine is saying yes to it. So loudly that I know that we can each hear it ringing right now. So I'm just going to say amen. And we can affirm it together. And so it is. And our music team has a beautiful offertory song for you. This is our time where we gather up our blessings and we send in our blessings to the center so that we can stay alive and well and coming into your homes on Sunday mornings. So this is our offertory song.